Hey, what's happening, everybody? Veteran Running Reacts back at this thing again. Actually, gonna be doing something that's a little more close to home, close to heart, and that's anime. Hey, you see it right? You see the boy Luffy, Straw Hat Luffy crew. You know what I'm saying? King of the Pirates. If you know, you know. Oh yeah, all day, every day. Anime, love it. Gonna check out some things. Top 30 most legendary anime fights of this century. 2000 to 2024. Spoiler alert ahead. I'll repeat, spoiler alert ahead. If you haven't seen some of these fights, you might as well just fast forward certain parts that you just know, like, I should not be watching this 'cause I haven't gotten there yet. This warning sucks because I'm about to spoil some things for myself. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna spoil, but I'm gonna spoil some things for myself, and that's fine because I actually want to see these fights. I love fights. I love anime fights. I love how they're animated. I love how they're drawn. I love how they're visually exciting. How they just keep you just drawn to the screen. How sometimes they just have layers and they build on top of each other. It's just one of those things. Ever since I was a child, man, anime has been a big part of my life. So, without further ado, man, hit that like and subscribe. I hope you join me. I hope you join me on my journey. I hope you like what I'm talking about. And yeah, anime community, stand up. We here, babe, all day.
今さら何をしても私には勝てんぞ
In the world of anime, there's no shortage of action-filled anime with spectacular fight scenes. So we've done our research and narrowed down a list to show the top 30 best fights of the century. Starting off the list, we have Daoma versus Changuren versus Double-Headed Snake, a visually stunning free-for-all. This fight had one of the best sword fights we've ever seen and some amazing visuals. The animation in Blade of the Guardians truly stands out with how gorgeous the entire battle looked and how evenly matched it was. Daoma's decision to free the double-headed snake leads to a free-for-all taking place, with even soldiers getting into the fight and getting subsequently dispatched in the coolest of ways. The fight gains momentum when Changuren joins, resulting in a mesmerizing showdown between the three swordsmen. The camera work, showcasing their skills with minimal cuts, adds to the fight's beauty. Ultimately, Daoma emerged as the lone survivor in a scene that left a powerful impact, but the other opponents held nothing back either. This Chinese anime really had some
All right.
great scenes, with this being one of the best battles in it.
And there it is. I was about to say. So, Bro is mashing up Japanese and Chinese anime. I've never seen this one, and that's why it's a Chinese anime. I'm trying to get in on these. I gotta find where I can find them with their English dub. If anybody knows where I can find some Chinese anime worth my watching, oh yeah, please put it down in the comment. Let me know. I'll screen it, put a review out for it, all that good stuff. It's just I haven't found any yet. I want to get a part of that wave. I do.
Summertime Render makes a list with the fight versus the shadows. If there's a show in recent memory that so beautifully portrays determination and resilience from a ragtag group of people who put everything on the line, then it's Summertime Render. I don't know if a lot of you share my opinion, but I think
Summertime
this is
Render?
one of the best shows to utilize the time loop system, and the way it transitioned from some murder mystery
That's
to
dope.
pure thriller action is nothing short of beautiful, with this fight marking a huge turning point. An entire episode of Summertime Render never felt as short as this one, with the human team combining their skills to outplay Shide and Heine and inching ever close to victory. In addition to the quota for action being filled, it's still filled with the various mental gymnastics and strategy that I've come to love the show for. Perhaps this fight will encourage you to try the show out.
Never heard of this one. What it looked like. Oh yeah, I'll give it a chance. Elsing though.
Picture it. Edgy, badass characters ready to throw down in a battle that's been a long time coming, like the ultimate collision of an unstoppable force and an immovable object. Alucard doesn't waste a second, taking charge of the fight with a flurry of familiars that leave Anderson scratching his head. But hold on, Anderson's got a surprise up his sleeve. Enter Helena's Nail, his secret weapon that transforms him into a monster, leveling the playing field against the vampire. Just when things get wild, R3axe swoops in for the save, giving Alucard the boost he needs. The battle rages on, and our fanged hero manages to outmaneuver and finally put the transformed Anderson to rest. In the end, Alucard stands tall, proving that when it comes to vampire versus monster paladin, he's the ultimate champ.
Check that out.
Talk about a battle for the ages.
For sure.
Coming in all guns blazing, we have Homura versus Mami from Magical Girl Madoka Magica. If you saw a normal picture of this anime and just read the name, then you'd probably assume that it's a cute anime with magical girls. It's absolutely nothing of the sort, and there's some pretty insane fight scenes. The best amongst these were definitely the fight between Homura and Mami, since it involved the flashiest scenes around. Their 1v1 was filled with innumerable bullets as the two shoot at each other to win. The fight had an absolute banger soundtrack, and the environment was crazy. The bullet showers looked much like fireworks, and the pacing of the fight was really fast, so all these things coupled with great animation made the entire fight a sight for sore eyes. Both the girls were pretty badass in their own way, so seeing them fight each other just added to the coolness of it all.
See, these be those shows that people sleep on, myself included. And I'll just skip right past it. Like, I'll see it and see the cover, I'll be like, oh, I think my little ones will like this. You know what I'm saying? And then you see a fight scene like this, like, hold up, bro. I gotta go back in the Rolodex and check some things out. I gotta actually put my eyes on this a little bit and see what it's really talking about, because it looks pretty electric. Yes, it does. Ooh.
Next on the list, we have Oya versus the three masked outcasts from Hitori no Shita.
It's that good hand-to-hand joint. I've heard about it. I could not find it. If y'all can tell me where I can find this, to stream this, to watch this.
This battle is the type that we've seen numerous
times. This joint's supposed to be like that, with the hand-to-hands, yo.
But the choreography is just on a whole nother level. You can see almost every move the characters make, and they're all fluidly animated. Despite having to fight 3 enemies all the while being alone, Oya stays calm and composed. He even deftly handles the magic they throw at him. Also, I never thought someone handling a water bottle would look so cool, but Oya made me think otherwise. Oya had everything under control for the entirety of the fight, and his finishing move looked awesome. Chinese anime have really upped the bar with how amazing the fight scenes are, and this isn't even the last one of them on the list.
Okay, see? Yo, Chinese anime, y'all coming for it. Y'all coming for it. Y'all really are. Y'all have some stuck ball. Once again, put it in the comment. I need to find out how to get a hold of these. I need to get aboard this ship. I don't want to miss it, because this stuff looks too good.
Next up, we have Trevor Belmont versus Death from Castlevania.
Castlevania, though. Yes, sir. Y'all know about Castlevania, man.
Castlevania has some spectacular fights, but this battle against Death takes the cake. And this isn't some fake death, it's quite literally the Grim Reaper. During the initial part of the battle, Trevor faces off against the Grim Reaper but ends up taking a harsh beating. After this defeat, he rises again, showing stronger determination, and proceeds to overpower Death, turning the tables on the situation in a glorious display of fighting prowess. The fight has some stunning animation and a pretty sweet soundtrack to back it up. Trevor shows off everything that makes him such a cool character, and the villain has godly levels of power.
Castlevania is so visually stunning. Like, it's up there with like Jujutsu Kaisen, where it's like you just get stuck. You be like,
Considering the stakes of the fight and everything else, this moment was definitely one of the top fights of the century. For the next entry, we have Jin Mori versus
God High
Han
School.
Davey from the God of High
With the
School.
red noses. This joke, man, was a random watch. This joke.
The best part about
Like
tournament
that.
arcs is that sometimes you get to see two heroes fight against each other and go all out because that's what you have to do in tournaments.
Dude.
This fight was one such moment when two heroes displayed their powers and skills. It was pure close quarters combat with no magical weapons involved. And the choreography,
bust out that damn
it was
dragon.
stunning in every way possible. One of the coolest things about the fight was that the camera showed the scene from the character's point of view as well, and it looked awesome.
Yeah, they did change up the POV.
Fist fights aside, the next entry will be going for a super
Seven
human battle
Deadly
between
Sins.
some of the strongest guys around. Escanor versus Estarossa from Seven
Seven
Deadly Sins.
Deadly. That's my joke. Let's go. I know some folk don't like it. I bang with this.
Now this fight had one of the coolest openings before the fight even
That
began.
dude OP
Estarossa's commandment
strong,
ensures that
bro.
anyone who displays
In the
hatred
goal.
towards him is rendered immobilized. All of the Holy Knights are affected by this except Escanor, who says to Estarossa's face that he feels no hatred towards those he deems below himself. This is the badass start to Escanor versus Estarossa, and it only gets better after that. The way Escanor's sun attacks are animated look gorgeous, and this was when Escanor wasn't even at full power. The fight showed Escanor's pride in all its glory as he took down one of the strongest commandments. The stakes were pretty high as Escanor's loss would have resulted in numerous casualties. Even then, it's hard to worry when the hero is as strong as the sun.
あの人は7つの大罪最強の男
Next up, we have Gamogawa versus Anderson from
Hajime
Hajime
no
no Ippo.
Ippo, the boxing jank. Yes.
Amongst close quarter combats, this fight
This
is
is
amongst
like,
the best.
a
Anderson is an
little
American
Nintendo
world-class
jank from back
boxer,
in the
while
day.
Gamogawa is a professional boxer on Japan's side. Anderson was a primary antagonist during this arc, and Gamogawa vowed revenge on him after a few events that were less than pleasant. That's what's fueled their boxing match and led to one of the best displays of boxing in anime. The fight between these behemoths kept fans on the edge of their seats as each punch counted. The animation really holds up even though it's almost a decade old, and each punch thrown feels so weighty and satisfying. Watching Gamogawa go all out was exhilarating, especially because Anderson was such a strong opponent. This entire fight is one that most fans of the series remember fondly. and
Shout out
that
to my
includes
boy
us.
Mark Security back in the day. DA. He put me on the Hajime no Ippo.
Before we reveal the top 20 of this list, we have
Baki!
Baki versus Yujiro from Baki.
That jank, bruh. Baki, go. Listen to me, bro. Baki like that.
Now,
Baki
quick recap.
like
Baki
that.
is out to defeat his father,
Yo,
the strongest
Baki
fighter in the
like
world,
that.
and for good reason, since Yujiro is an absolutely ruthless beast. Nothing is off the table for this
Wait,
villain,
what?
and Baki has been working hard to
Straight
defeat him.
demon
Now,
back.
considering all of this, it
And that's
isn't
his
surprising
son.
that the fight
He don't
between
care.
the two would be highly anticipated. The fight itself is
straight at you.
incredibly satisfying with how long it is and its over-the-top animation. The two can't exactly be considered humans either because of the feats they performed, like jumping off a skyscraper before the fight even properly began. It had some top-tier moves
Axe
being
kick.
dished out from both ends and had some really fun-to-watch choreography.
Axe
Being
kick
such a
from hell.
long-awaited fight for fans of the series, it deserves a spot on this list.
Damn right. What the hell with your
Coming in
drink?
at number 20 is another Chinese anime, Fog
I
Hill
see,
of
okay.
5 Elements.
These Jones look tough. Yo, these
This
joints
fight
are
involves
tough.
the two brothers Yi Xuan and Jing Xuan versus Shanchu, and the fight is just incredible. The anime itself has some gorgeous visuals as every panel looks like something from an art book. The fight is
Yeah, I'm gonna say,
fast-paced but
like-
satisfyingly long. The moves
Oh,
each
that
character
looks
pulls off are
sick.
amazing to look at, and the fight
That remind
choreography
me of
is just
Akuma
top
in
tier.
Street
Even
Fighter
the
with his
sounds are
ultimate
amazing. The
finishing
fact that
move.
both brothers can go all out against such an intimidating villain really made the fight into something for the history books. The two have dealt some major blows to Shanchu, and one move in particular that looked great was when
What
Yi
is
Xuan
that?
punched Jing Xuan to give him a movement boost to attack Shanchu. The best part though is when Yi Xuan powers up into a godly figure and just decimates Shanchu.
Oh, well, damn.
Up next we have another combo fight with Asta and
Black
Yuno going up against
Clover.
Licht.
Let's go. Yes.
After Asta and Yuno defeated the elves, Licht enters the picture as he's reminded of the
Daggone
massacre
Licht,
of
the
elves
daggone
after his
elf
wedding.
life.
During the fight, Asta gets beaten so badly that he loses his black form and Yuno has to fight Licht off until Asta regains his form.
Until he
Even with
gets
all
his
of that,
power
Licht
back.
ends up beating the two heroes down. This fight involves some high-paced action and some pretty awesome magic being thrown around back and forth. The parts where the anime suddenly goes black and white also added to the overall fight, making it look like something out of a manga panel. By far one of the best fights in Black Clover. We aren't done with the duo battles yet, as next up we have Midoriya and Bakugo versus 9 from My Hero Academia.
Man, these Jones is very mainstream, but daggone it. That's what I'm saying. Anime has stepped their game up.
Now, this fight is one of the
these new
flashiest
joints, I'm
from
here
My
for a
Hero
lot of
Academia, and the animators held nothing back with it. We get to see Midoriya go 100%, as well as Bakugo, and their attacks look absolutely amazing. 9 himself is an extremely overpowered villain, as he has 9 different quirks due to the power of All for One. Considering how powerful he is, it's no wonder that our heroes had to go all out just to defeat him. The two heroes even seemed to go Super Saiyan at one point, which was a pretty cool moment. The destruction of their surroundings showed how intense the battle was, and every moment had fans on the edge of their seats. Hard to think the animators can trump this fight afterwards.
This the fun. They have the final season coming up too. My Hero, I'm gonna miss you, man. But I'm here for that.
But
Trust,
before we continue,
I will be
on
finished.
this list we have one of the most hyped up fights from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where Jotaro fought against Dio.
I bang with JoJo too. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. JoJo's hard.
Both these combatants have pretty
you
powerful
gotta get
stands, but
past
Dio's ability
like the
to stop
girly
time is on a whole other level.
costumes and
Besides
stuff,
this, the fight was
and just
also
really
the final
appreciate
fight
the
of the
story,
season, and Jotaro
the
losing would
action,
have meant
the
the end
battle.
of the Joestar bloodline.
Like
JoJo's
that.
animation is already awesome with how over the top it is, and the animators were keen on making the final fight one to remember. Watching both stands face off and bash each other senseless sounded amazing. Some people may say it's a cop-out that Star Platinum gained the power as Dio stand, but the show is meant to be bizarre, so we'll just take that in its stride.
Yeah.
Besides, who
It's in the
didn't
name.
love watching Dio get
Bizarre
pummeled
Adventure.
with 100 punches?
Right. Oh.
Coming in at number 16, we have Kaneki
Tokyo
versus Jason
Ghoul,
from Tokyo
man.
Ghoul. Now, Jason is an S-Class ghoul, while Garnaki is the protagonist of the story. Unfortunately for Garnaki, though, he ended up captured, and Jason put him through mind-breaking levels of torture, cutting off his limbs repeatedly and making him eat them to heal. The entire situation was exceptionally brutal, and the torture ended up breaking
Very
something
disturbing.
inside Garnaki, resulting in a terrifying beast. So when Garnaki was
And
released,
white
we
hair.
got to see him get back on his torturer, and things became incredibly satisfying. The entire fight animation looks great, and watching Garnaki exact his revenge was even better. Jason technically made Garnaki into an overpowered monster, as he no longer cared for his body and barely felt any pain. It was a fight that marked the change in Garnaki and a defining moment for how you
Rated
shouldn't
him, even
push
though you
someone
were
to the
trying
brink
to
of
torture to
insanity.
get answers out of him.
Up next, we have Mob versus Mogami from Mob Psycho 100.
Psycho.
何をしても私を立てんぞ
Psycho's lit, bro.
Now, the
This
animation
joint
for this
lit.
series is something that takes a bit of getting used to appreciate. That doesn't mean that the animation is something to scoff at, though, and neither is Mob's power. Our friendly neighborhood Esper had to face an absolutely demonic evil spirit, and seeing its power, you'd initially think that there was no way Mob could win this one. Just kidding. Fans already know how powerful Mob is when he goes 100%.
Yeah, when he goes
and this
100%,
moment
it's
was
a
one of the
wrap.
coolest. Mob's
OP.
powers looked absolutely stunning during the fight, as the animators ensured that this would be a fight to remember. The level of destruction was of a cataclysmic level, and the two used the entire city as a battleground, with both characters decimating their surroundings. To top it all off, the soundtrack was a banger. Sliding into the scene, next up we have Gintoki versus Takasugi from Gintama.
Haven't seen this. I do like samurai battles. That's for sure.
Now, Gintama's known for its sweet comedy, but the fight scenes in this series are nothing to scoff at. This battle in particular between the two master swordsmen was exceptionally brutal, and the choreography was stunning. The battle started off as a sword fight, but quickly developed into a brawl. It was pretty brutal as both characters were left in pools of their own blood during the battle. The two were so evenly matched that you couldn't expect who the winner would be, especially because Gintoki was already pretty exhausted. The rivalry between the two has emotions deeply embedded in their roots, so it wasn't just a one-on-one battle, but rather a fight of ideals as well. Everything in this fight was just awesome, so it's no wonder that it deserved a spot on this list. Next up, we have one of the best fights from Demon Slayer when the gang fought against Daki and Gyotaro, the Upper Moon 6.
Let's go. Skinny vertebrae.
How big of a threat the demons are, as the Demon Slayers have to constantly put their lives on the line to fight them. The strongest amongst the bunch is the Upper Moons, and this was the...
This one goes so damn hard. If you haven't seen this, you have missed the boat. I swear. This one goes so damn hard. I know my man ain't gonna sit there and give us the whole thing because he just can't. I understand, I get it. But bro, you doing a hell of a job. I had to pause this and shout out to you. Whoever's doing this, man, I don't know, but shout out to you. You like that because you got a good lineup. I'm agreeing with a lot of things you're doing. But man, Demon Slayer against this skinny vertebrae demon, bro, with the dual blades, bro. Oh my goodness. Hey, bro, named Ichiro, Nezuko's brother. But either way, the water breather. I'm not good with them names. I'm gonna keep it a band with you. The water breather, when he got whooped and Shorty with the daggone robe, Jenks was about to get him. Nezuko come out of nowhere, do some damage. If you haven't seen this fight scene, do yourself a favor and check it out. Jesus Christ.
First time we got to see a fight against them. Even with Hashira, Tengen Uzui fighting with our protagonist, this was still a fight that was won by a very small margin. And did I mention how amazing the animation was? It was extremely breathtaking. The clash was just astounding, and the moment when Uzui comes seemingly back from the dead to protect Danjiro and fight off Gyotaro is one of the most epic moments around. The colors, the attacks, the sounds, everything is just top tier. The animators sure did give us a treat for the ages with this fight, and we can't wait to see what more is in store.
Yes, him, Boarhead pinned her down. I'm coming for your head. I found the line. Oh, my Lord. This joint, whoa.
Here in the top 10 of this list, we have Spike versus Vincent from Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop. Can't.
Now, this fight was amongst the best close combat fight scenes we've ever seen, and for good reason, but a bit of background before that, okay? Spike is a bounty hunter while Vincent is a terrorist. They're both also exceptional combatants, and we get to see them in action during this final fight. The choreography is superb, and there's no magic or any powers involved, which brings a rare realism to this anime. Every strike feels authentic, and the characters pause to catch their breath, showing they don't have infinite stamina. The martial arts depicted here feel genuinely possible as something you could see in the real world, creating a strong link between the audience and the fight. The visual effects have aged exceptionally, contributing to the overall perfect atmosphere of the battle. Did I mention how this was animated back in 2001? Definitely one of the oldest fights on this list.
Man. The OG, yo.
Moving away from the old but gold type of fights, we have a relatively recent one when Levi fought against Kenny and his squad from Attack on Titan.
Yes, sir. Go!
Now, Levi's always been one of the strongest characters in the entire series, and he's been a threat to the Towering Titans. So, watching him get cornered was something many fans couldn't have imagined, especially by a human. Although it's worth noting that Kenny Ackerman is technically his mentor as well, besides the fact that he possesses Ackerman blood. All that aside, this entire fight scene was just incredible. It was so fast-paced that you'd miss it if you blinked. We had to see Levi meet someone as close to his match as it could get. The animation was on a whole other level, and the camera angles perfectly showcase the entire fight.
I tell
We
you,
aren't
this
stopping here
one
though,
is
as we're
lit.
finally entering the top 10 of this list with Sukuna versus Mahoraga from Jujutsu
Jujutsu
Kaisen.
Kaisen. Jujutsu
This is one of the most
Kaisen.
recent fights at
Let's
the time of
go.
this video, and one of the best looking fights around. Sukuna, the king of curses, against the top Shikigami from the Ten Shadows technique. It's worth noting that Mahoraga is a Shikigami that's never in its history been tamed by any user of the Ten Shadows technique, because it has exceptional fighting power and the ability to adapt to any and all attacks. But Sukuna is Sukuna, he's called the king of curses for a reason. This fight was an iconic moment that the series may not be able to top anytime soon, as it was just insane. The entirety of Shibuya was destroyed when these two monsters fought it out, and it was accompanied by some of the best animation of recent times.
Main expansion. Heaven Shrine.
All that aside, we still have some golden fights that are beloved by numerous fans, including Ichigo versus Ulquiorra from Bleach.
Kenpachi and them. Tenso! Ichigo.
We all knew that the big three of shonen anime were bound to appear on such a list,
God.
and the first fight from those three is this one. Ulquiorra, one of the strongest Espada amongst the Arrancar, versus our hero was a fight to behold. Orihime was on the line during this fight, so the stakes were pretty high for Ichigo. The animation was pretty good given when it was released, and it still holds up as we get to see these two fight all out. Well, technically Ulquiorra didn't put in too much of an effort before turning Ichigo into a donut. Seeing Ichigo dead and then watching him transform into a being on the level of a Vasto Lord took fans on a roller coaster of emotions and led to one of the most badass fights of the entire series. You definitely can't miss this fight. Coming up next, we have another fight that hosts an absolutely iconic...
I just gotta say, Dragon Ball is what started me. So I was patiently waiting. If my Dragon Ball ain't crack top 10, or crack top 15, I don't top something 10, I would have felt some type of way. But this shit right here, this right here, if you haven't seen Dragon Ball Super Tournament of Power, I don't know what you've been doing. I mean, probably working, you know what I'm saying, get money for your bills and stuff like that. But damn it, it's still no excuse. You have to watch this. This one.
iconic moment when Goku fought against Jiren.
Excuse me.
Now, Jiren was an exceptional fighter who had amazing ki control, great raw strength, speed, and energy. He was so powerful that Goku could barely keep up and was on the losing end for the vast majority of the fight. That is, until he finally unlocked the Ultra Instinct. After the first time, Goku went Super Saiyan, and this was arguably his second most iconic power-up of all time. I say arguably because he had a lot of other transformations, but this was exceptionally cool. The fight was long enough to satisfy any viewer and was gorgeously animated. Everything from the ki blast to planet busting raw strength looked astounding, happening everything from the iconic transformation to the heated battle. This entry definitely deserves a spot on this list. Coming in at number 7, we have King Bradley versus Scar from Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal. Isn't that Scar? Missed the name.
Scar is a nameless serial killer who's quite adept at alchemy, weapons, and hand-to-hand combat. On the other side, we have King Bradley, the commander-in-chief of the state military and an exceptional swordsman. Their fight was extremely brutal, with both of them bloody and wounded by the middle of it. But the fight continues with Bradley suddenly turning the tables on Scar. The end of this fight resulted in Bradley losing both his arms, while at the same time, Scar was pierced through the chest with a broken blade. He still won, but threw a little luck on his side as the light momentarily blinded Bradley. During the fight, we also got to witness a great speech from Bradley as he tore through most of Scar's attacks. It was an amazing fight overall and deserves all the love it can get. Next up is Saitama versus Boros from One Punch Man.
Saitama is the man. I love myself some One Punch. Hey, respect, bro. Respect. One Punch has to be up here. It has to be up here. It just has to be. To be.
Saitama's the strongest person around, capable of defeating anyone in a single punch without even taking things seriously. Everything about him is overpowered and absolutely no one can hold a candle to him. But there was one being that pushed him to the point of throwing a serious punch, and that being was Boros. Hey, it's a feat in itself to get Saitama to be even mildly serious in a battle, so it's a testament to Boros' strength. Anyway, this entire fight was just so good. The animation was almost perfect, the battle was all over the place but could still be followed. It had some pretty funny moments, and yet at the same time there was a certain sadness at the end too. The animation just took the cake though, and you could see the love Studio Bones had put into this fight. A long battle with perfect animation. What more could you want? Nearing the top 3 entries of this list, we have Luo Lang versus Nanashi from Sword of the Stranger.
See what it's all about. I love samurai and sword play, man. So this is something.
This was the final fight of the anime, and an emotional one to say the least.
I'm definitely check it out.
The master swordsman versus Luo Lang. His ability to ignore pain was something that gave him a significant advantage during the fight, but Nanashi persisted. The battle took place in a beautiful setting with equally brilliant animation and choreography. The two characters used everything in their arsenal, as well as the environment, to gain an advantage over the other, and it just seemed like there was no wasted moments and everything was fluid to the point of perfection. There was nothing flashy happening, no gimmicks, just two amazing swordsmen going all out. We got to see a beautiful fight and an ending that tugged on our heartstrings. Truly one of the best fights of the century.
So.
Before revealing the top 3 of this list, we have Giritsugu versus Kirei from the Fate series.
I haven't seen this either.
This climactic fight sets up the stage for two characters who are exceptionally strong and cunning to finally find out who's better than the other. This fight was built up during the entire series, and it certainly deserves the praise it gets. Beyond the well-established character motivations, the fight itself was amazing in regard to choreography and animation. The battle is exceedingly brutal. Each fighter's single blow is so intense that it could incapacitate most opponents. Kirei momentarily delivers a fatal strike to Giritsugu before Avalon intervenes to heal him. It was a short but sweet fight and encompassed everything the fans expected from these two characters. Entering the top 3 of this long list, we have an absolute iconic fight scene from Hunter x Hunter when Netero fought against Meruem.
Man, let's go, bro.
Now, Meruem was the newly born king of the Ants, and right from his birth, he was shown to be a being on an entirely different level compared to everyone around him. Meruem was brutal and ruthless, and as such, had to be faced by one of the strongest hunters in the series. And this is where Netero came in. In his prime, Netero was considered the most powerful Nen user in the world, and he retained his strength even in old age. He showcases his strength during the fight with Meruem, and boy, is it a sight to behold. The way Netero's praying is animated, and the badass moment he puts on display during the fight, even after losing an arm and a leg, lock him down as one of the coolest and strongest old men in anime. In the end, Netero had to sacrifice everything just to beat the overpowered Meruem, and still, the fight was one of the best of its kind. At number 2, we have another fight that was highly awaited by fans of One Piece, which is the fight between Luffy and Kaido.
Yes, Gear 5, oh.
Now, this fight has technically been going on for quite a while, but at the moment, what we're talking about right now is when Luffy finally goes Gear 5. This moment was a game changer and a major reveal of the entire series. Fans suddenly got to know that Luffy actually had the powers of a god named Nika, and then got to see all those powers on display. The fight was just bonkers and seemed like something out of a Looney Tunes cartoon as Luffy manhandled the Yonko and displayed some of the most epic moves in the history of the anime. It just had so many amazing stunts on top of the top tier animation, so it's definitely not a fight anyone can forget.
Jump rope, bro.
At the top of this list, we have the battle between Naruto and Sasuke.
Respect. 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 This here, this is one of the dopest fights ever. Like ever. The emotion behind this fight, the animation, the hand to hand, special powers, the story build up. If you follow the story of Naruto and Sasuke, this moment was so long overdue. Oh my god, like I'm getting chills just talking about it, man. Because dude, this one takes you back. If you were a part of that journey, if you were a part of that Naruto Hidden Leaf journey, you know. That's all I gotta say about that. You know. Oh man.
The battle we've placed at the top is the final battle between Naruto and Sasuke, which was a culmination of numerous episodes that led to this point. Fans of the series already know all about the rivalry between these two characters, and their interactions have had pivotal consequences for the entire Naruto universe. So to tie up that rivalry in a final battle meant that this was bound to be one of the best fights around. The fight had perfect choreography and amazing visuals, and both of these powerhouses used were just stunning to behold. The battle started with a good old fist fight before more and more powerful jutsu were incorporated until these two depleted all of their chakra and then went back to good old-fashioned brawling. The battle marked the end of a rivalry numerous people around the world had been following ever since Naruto came to television screens, and marked a conclusive end. With Naruto's worldwide fans following, this was a moment that many people will hold in their hearts forever, and thus deserves the top spot on our list.
Respect, man. Damn right.
And with that, we'll be wrapping up this list of the top 30 best fights of the century. With so many anime and so many fights, it's without a doubt that we must have missed some of your favourites. Don't keep us hanging though, be sure to comment down below the fights that you consider the best of this century. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so we can show you more of this.
Hey, girl. Hey. Man. Yeah. Legit. I bang with that. Mm-hmm. 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 That that's legit. That was legit. Oh my god, that was legit. Yes, sir. Hit that like and subscribe, man. Like I said, yo, we in here. Anime. You know what I'm saying? Cons are coming up. You know what I mean? The summertime. Dressing up. Vibes. The community. We gonna be in your city. Get ready for us, man. We gonna have a good time, yo. Summer's here, yo. We gonna be outside with it. Anime. That was great. Good job, bro. Trust and believe. Like I said, hit that like and subscribe. More anime stuff to come, man. Cause this is life. You hear me? This is life. Ready to run the nation. Let's build this thing.